We've got a great session lined up for you this morning. The title is The Finished Home Naturally. HiArc had some manpower and scheduling issues and is not here to make their opening presentation. I think you all heard a lot about HiArc being implemented at Buffington Homes last night at the keynote, and I know that if they were here to present, they'd be interested to give you more details about their new interior selections functionality on their platform. I think they've been really focused on structural options and automating construction drawings and bill of materials to date, but they really are coming forward with some new technology on the kind of the design center and selections technology. So we've done a bunch of webcasts and content with them over the last year and a half, and they have made some really good progress and helped companies like Buffington get a lot more done with fewer people. So I think it'll be interesting for you to learn more. That's my HiArc presentation. And let's talk about the presenters we've got and what we're going to try to accomplish today in the flow of that. So I was really pleased to get connected to Dina. It's not Deanna. Dina Duffick, who is the CEO and principal of Pure Design House. Why don't you just give, well, you're going to give a little intro on your company and yourself as we get into your presentation, but I think she's going to bring some interesting insights into the what of clean, natural, and healthy materials that you can work into your options assortments and into your finishes more generally. Valerio Murado is the VP of Design at Ashton Woods Homes, which is a top 20 home building company. What number are you guys these days?
Top 10.
Top 10. And he's going to be the voice of the builder up here on the panel and provide Valerio's takes as we work through the other presentations. Nick Moore is the senior manager with Wayfair Professional. He's standing in for Ali Rickert, who we had lined up for this session. He's been briefed. He's going to do a great job in his presentation. His normal focus is in the multifamily world, but he's been with Wayfair a good long while and is adaptable and flexible, which are good things.
No pressure. Thanks, John.
So what is our purpose here is to explore built-in finishes and then the furniture and decor that resonate with the buyer's interest in natural products, health, and wellness. Those are, not just buzzwords, they're hot trends. Many of you have already been trying to address those, but you'll get some fresh ideas and strategies, I think, on this session. The way we're gonna work through this is Dina will cover the built-ins, and then it says Ali, but it means Nick will cover the furniture and decor, and then Valerio will be providing these perspectives along the way. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the magic wand over to you, Dina.
Oh, okay. Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here and seeing you all. Just to give you a little bit of background, I have been in the business for about 25 years. I grew up in the business. My grandfather was a builder. My uncles were architects. My aunts were designers. About 5 years ago, I lived in a rental in Laguna Beach, and I got really, really sick with mold toxicity. And it I kind of changed the trajectory of my business. It sent me down a path of trying to source clean materials and really, I forget to use this one.
The comfort monitor.
Thank you.
Yep.
But trying to find clean, non-toxic materials to build my own home. I found out, I needed to move immediately if I wanted to heal myself. And so through that journey and looking for clean, non-toxic building materials, I realized how challenging it was. And for someone like me that has been in the business for over 25 years, I could only imagine what it was like for the average person to try to find clean, non-toxic building materials for their home. So that was pretty much the inception of Pure Design House. I've had a design business, like I said, for over 25 years. But we opened a showroom about a year and a half ago. We specialize in clean, non-toxic building materials. I've spent a lot of the past 4 years sourcing through countries all over the world, a lot in Sweden and Denmark and Belgium, and bringing those sources back here and helping to educate folks throughout the country on small and large changes that they can make within the building industry to help build cleaner homes. So why healthy materials matter? It's for a number of reasons. You know, a lot of times folks immediately start talking to me about sustainability, which is a true and it's a natural byproduct of building a healthy home. But from my perspective, and someone that became extremely ill, I look at it more as building a healthy home for the individual's needs and what that looks like. You know, we all want health and well-being, and I think sustainability is a natural byproduct of that. You know, when you build clean homes, there was a time when I tell folks, we all read our food labels, right? And we're all interested in what we're putting in our bodies. Of course, there was a time we didn't have to read food labels, but now we do. So why aren't we more concerned about what we're building our homes with? You know, these are living, breathing things, and we need to pay attention to it. And me personally, I became extremely susceptible to chemicals, off-gassing. I have chemical sensitivities, things like that. So, you know, we all want to be healthier and live in healthier environments, and I think this is the start of that.
I love that metaphor of the food label.
Yeah.
Why don't we have the same thing for the house? Because it's probably as determinant of our health as, maybe not as much as the food, but certainly the air we breathe and everything in the house is a big determinant on our health.
I think a lot of folks, you know, that seems to resonate when I say that to people when I speak at different discussions. But it's something that people aren't realizing, even when I bring it up with clients, that, you know, I didn't realize that there was off-gassing in the drywall or in the insulation or, you know, XYZ. So that most people don't even know that it's something that they should think about. So just bringing it to their attention, and we'll talk about a couple of other things. I've already mentioned the environmentally sustainable. Of course, that's a natural byproduct of this. But then, you know, energy efficiency and the economic factor, which is the next one I'll get to. But we use things like, when I mention off-gassing, we use things like upcycled denim or rock wool. This doesn't mean that it costs more money. It just means that it's a different material. So when you give that option to folks, they often, again, they don't realize that was something they needed to consider. But, you know, wool, for instance, this is something that you can find at Home Depot. This is not something out of the ordinary. So of course there's economic benefits to this. A lot of times, you know, folks, I have a client recently that came to me and he said, I want to build a healthy home. And, you know, you have to kind of dig into what that means when people ask that. Is that mentally, physically, all of the things? But building a healthy home from the inside out, he also said, you know, I've been building homes for a long time. And 20 years ago, everybody was talking about LEED certified and sustainability. And it just meant that it cost me more money and that it didn't last as long. Well, we have come a long way with materials, and that's not the case anymore. So there are economic benefits to using more sustainable and healthy materials. There are also cultural advantages. When I set out on my mission to create a healthy home, I purchased a home in Laguna Beach, which is somewhat historical. You know, making changes to a home like that can be challenging with cities and permitting. But one of the ways to work through that with the city is to use, natural materials and try to blend into the natural environment. So this is a rendering of my personal house that I've been working on. And this is it's a prototype of a clean home from the ground up, utilizing copper pipes and clean wallboards and clean insulation. And I have a sample of some of the things we're talking about, but using siding that's made out of upcycled rice hulls, cork insulation, mineral-based paints, things like that. And then resiliency over time. These things last longer. Once we kind of get back similarly, as we discussed about the food, everybody's getting back to farm to table now. It's like that with building materials as well, right? Some of these things have been around a long, long time. And it's up to us to use these in a more responsible way. And, reduces our resource depletion. So again, all of this sustainability is a natural byproduct of building a healthy home. So what are some ways you can do that? Overall, you want to foster a sense of health and well-being with the homes that you build. And you can do that through natural materials. I'm talking about some of the building materials. It also applies to the finished materials and to the finishings that go into the house, furnishings, the linens, the textiles, etc. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. Of this is a mood board that shows some natural materials. We also bring in a lot of biophilic design to try to bring in the earth tones. And we have a nonprofit, which I'll talk about at the end of the presentation. But through that nonprofit, we utilize a lot of trauma-informed design techniques, and that includes biophilic design, and that includes healthy, non-toxic design. This particular example was a commercial space, but the reason I wanted to share it with you is because the developer of this is a 20,000 square foot surgery center, veterinarian surgery center. The developer of this space wanted to change the face of the veterinarian world because the suicide rate amongst veterinarian surgeons is the highest in the country. And that's for a number of reasons. Yeah. But the reason she reached out to our group was because of our use with trauma-informed and biophilic design. And you can see we've created a space that is calming and soothing and healthy, not only for the patrons of the business, but also for the doctors.
What does trauma-informed design mean?
So there's different approaches to trauma-informed design, but we work a lot with kids that have post-traumatic stress disorder. Again, doctors that work in high-stress jobs. So it's creating spaces, whether it's through biophilic design, through healthy materials, or even, in this instance, I don't have an image here, but, from the interior architecture, we did things like created a lot of rounded spaces. We created a lot of curved doors, things that naturally calm your central nervous system and help people immediately feel a sense of calm and peace when they walk into the space.
So trauma-informed design wouldn't just be for people who are experiencing these extreme traumas. It brings that kind of sense of well-being and peace to folks that even have just moderate or normal stress and anxiety.
Absolutely. We're all living in a space right now, or seemingly, where our central nervous systems are on high all the time. We're in fight or flight. So when you're creating spaces, that when people walk into these spaces and they immediately feel a sense of calm, that's a very sellable thing. Yeah. People want to feel healthy right now.
Valeria, what do you think about that? I mean, as folks are looking to buy new homes, are they seeking peace, calm, this kind of, these emotional factors, this anxiety relief? I mean, maybe they're not articulating it, and maybe we're not having a conversation with them about it, but do you think
I think absolutely, in the way that is, without arriving to the extreme, and that she was saying, my main job is like model homes, right? 10 years ago, we created with Ashton, who was a design firm in-house, and we start to, what we think, to something different in the model homes, because the idea was to create this sense of calm, sense of comfort when you walk inside the house, right? And so obviously 10 years ago, we didn't go through this material or to give but with the science of the color, with also the proportional scale of the furniture, you want to create this comfort zone, because also if you're not a designer, when you walk in any space, if there is something wrong, you understand. Maybe you don't know exactly what is wrong, like in orchestra, right? When there is someone that make a mistake, also if you are not a professional player, you understand that something went wrong. It's the same when you walk inside a home or inside a commercial space or office. You see there is something odd, also if you're not an expert. And so this is the reason, because there are designers, there are people that they study that is not just pure aesthetic. I always say that the design is a coin with two faces, right? One side, there is the emotional part, there is the creativity. On the other side, is the science behind. And then what she was saying now is everything is behind, based on science that can reflect, behavior, can reflect how the people they can live. And so, absolutely.
Yeah, and to this point, we use a lot of science-driven data to kind of infuse into our design techniques to help these larger scale projects. And then I'll show you some other scale projects.
I just wanted to make sure everyone understood, because that's trauma-informed design sounds like a special case for people who are, on the brink, but it really is a broader discipline.
Absolutely.
That speaks to this broader need.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. For everyone. Thank you for pointing that out.
I'm also not, so like my major is rhetoric, right? Like I studied words, and like I know biophilic design is a thing. I just think some people are afraid of it because it sounds like whenever philic is involved, there's pedophiles, and also, just like the people have a knee-jerk reaction against it. Somebody's laughing out there. I even though the concepts are there, I think the words that we use when we're talking about bringing it forward to a consumer need to be thought about carefully, right?
I think you're right. And, even that term, it sounds scary.
Creepy.
But when you just say, it's about bringing nature in, bringing the outdoors inside, building with natural materials again.
Yeah.
Again, eating natural foods, farm to table. Like, these are simple things that have been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah. And we kind of happened onto this word, this naturally, for this session, but I wonder if that's an underused, I'll go back to my own personal experience. I grew up in the 70s and I was forced to wear polyester pants and polo shirts as a young person. And because polyester was cool. Polyester was very cool in the 70s. It was like, oh, that's polyester. And it's horrible to wear. So then I had a whole natural fiber, rebellion. So I'm always looking for natural fibers in my clothes. It gets us back to these retail concepts, right? Which is like, what do we do with the food? We label it for its health factors. But natural is something that people affiliate with their purchase of apparel and such. And so that might be a term that we want to be using more and more when we're talking about this health and wellness category. Just my thought, my perspective.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I think the more that we can simplify, as you mentioned, it's when you walk into space, I can use the word trauma-informed design all day with professionals and we can talk amongst ourselves. But what it boils down to is the feeling that it's evoking when somebody is in that space. Is it a healing space? Is it evoking that emotion of calm? If somebody's sitting in a space that typically causes anxiety and high stress, are they able to feel their central nervous system decompress?
I remember 10 years ago when I moved in the States and I went to visit, obviously, different model homes, right? Different builders. And for me, it was completely new. I'd never done before model homes, never worked with builders. In Italy, the building industry is completely different. You do one homes, that's it, right? So if it's big, maybe you can do 10, 15, but not neither close to the number that we have in the States. I was working in some homes where like 7 different colors, strong colors in every room. So the anxiety that was creating me every time I was walking in was like, oh my gosh, I cannot stay inside this house. So, and I can think about the buyer that go inside the house. If you don't want to stay, you're not going to buy the house. For me, the better accomplishment is when someone is walking in and is sitting on the sofa in the living room, because this means that he's comfortable, that he likes the feeling. And again, doesn't know why, but the fact that he's sitting there, he's taking his time to sit in and talk with a friend or the wife or the husband, means that he accomplished something, right? And especially in the past 5 years, it's not just now, right? The trend of natural is, I don't think it's really a trend. I think it's a lifestyle, right? It's like a new age, new way, if you want, right?
Way past trend.
Yeah, exactly. It's already past the trend. Unfortunately, if I say on my side or builder side, obviously you have to see this with perspective in the way that if you do a beautiful single family home, custom home, obviously you can spend 4 years on research. For us as a builder, obviously you face with different issue, right? Beautiful wood floor. Yes, unfortunately, vinyl plank is taking over for so many reasons. So we have to face, right, on these people, what they said, okay, I prefer 200 square feet more, but I have to buy vinyl plank. I cannot afford wood floor. Means,
but you know, it's one of those things you pay now or you pay later. Just like if we don't take care of our health, right? If you don't work out and you don't eat right, then you're going to pay for it on the medical visits and at the doctor's office and all of that. So when we look at things like luxury vinyl tile, you know, the data is showing that causes asthma with kids, and the off-gassing is enormous. So if you were just able to articulate that for a small price difference, you know.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
There is no small price of difference. You know, I agree completely with you, right? But if I'm a buyer, now I'm not a designer, I'm a buyer, and they said, okay, this is my budget because the loan, they give me just this amount. I have to choose. Is it wrong? Absolutely. At this point, I think I read somewhere that is like sustainability is like a journey, right? With a very complex roadmap. It's true. It's not just, we cannot alone change, right? Because we have educate people. Also, the local government or higher level, they have to help this. Because if they start with help, financial help, people at this point, obviously, they care for their health, and more their health, maybe their kids' health, right? So they invest. I have 4 kids. I invest all my money in my kids, right? Because, and I'm perfectly fine. But so if on the other side, there is a government helping us to create this small difference between vinyl plank and natural elements, obviously people, they are going to the natural elements. But until everyone is sitting on the table and work together on the same direction, it's difficult.
I agree. And I think that's part of like what we're doing here today. It's helping to educate more and more people, because a lot of people, like for instance, wouldn't realize that vinyl planks, you know, have that much off-gassing and that it causes asthma. And you're absolutely correct. And it's baby steps. So I tell folks, you know, just like the food example, you know, you have some people over here that are complete vegans, gluten-free, dairy-free, all the things free. And then you have folks over here with the pizzas and the sodas. But there is a happy medium where you can come together and kind of pick and choose. And we're at that place within our industry that we can also pick and choose. So if you explain to someone, you know, like that particular product, if we use that as an example, it's a little, that's a little more toxic than the average product. Why don't you have more spend here, and maybe there's a cost savings on the paint? It doesn't have to be a complete mineral-based paint, but maybe a lower VOC paint, that kind of thing. So it's a give and take, I think.
Yeah. I'm just curious in the audience, folks who are running options programs, design centers. I mean, how many of you are having discussions around home health, natural materials? I mean, is that even in the discussion? It's one of the discussions? Yeah. Looks like it. Some folks, yeah. Good amount.
That's good.
Yeah.
Really good. So this is just some examples of that building clean homes is scalable. And so I mentioned that I have an example of a commercial project in here, which, I mean, you probably all know that working with commercial budgets is lean. So if we're able to do it there, we also can do it in luxury residential, and we can do it in mid-tier and lower budget. And I'll show you what we do for our nonprofit as well. But there's lots of ways you can do that. And it doesn't, again, I mentioned, I have a sample deck up here of just a complete mineral-based paint. It's very natural. It is more expensive, just to be frank. But there are, there's healthy options within the big brand names that we're all familiar with that are doing a good job of cleaning up. And I mentioned some of the products up here that you can get at Home Depot. These are all scalable and affordable, and same with same with sourcing natural materials, the textiles, linens. This isn't, again, reinventing the wheel. It's just using smarter resources. And I think calling this out in your projects so people are aware that you've been mindful with it and thoughtful about it, especially for the folks that have more interest in them. And for the folks that don't, calling attention to this. We use natural linens in this space, and we use, organic woods or raffia or so on and so forth. And then these are just some other examples of those different scalable designs that we mentioned, that you can do it on any level, whether it's commercial, luxury, residential, or mid. So I mentioned earlier that we have a nonprofit. It's called Design with Purpose. I'm trying to get back to the previous page. It's a 501c3. I started this back in 2017 because as a designer in Laguna Beach, I go into a lot of luxury high-end homes. And a lot of times folks were like, just gut it. And it could have just been a flip and people wanted just to gut it. I had a really hard time with that. I'm from the South. I started my business in the model home arena. That's what I did for a long, long time with my family as well. So I don't like the waste that I see in our business. So I wanted to do something. I also knew I wanted to help kids, and I wasn't sure what that was going to look like. We started a 501c3 and a relationship with Children's Hospital of Orange County. And we also have a partnership with the Orange County Department of Education. Originally, we started with chalk, that we would go into children's rooms that had been in the oncology department for an extended period of time, or any of the pediatric departments. They'd been in the hospital for an extended time that we were coming home. We wanted to create healing well spaces for them to come home to. That partnership expanded to where now our partnership with both Chalk and the Orange County Department of Education, we create well spaces in every middle school and high school across Orange County. These well spaces, again, we use trauma-informed design techniques, biophilic design, but just like every school has a cafeteria, we want to normalize mental health for these kids, and we're creating well spaces. And my goal is to create a well space in every middle school and high school across the country. We're already getting calls and doing work in North Carolina and New York and San Diego and Las Vegas. So we're working on that. And my point in telling you all of that is not only is it a way to be sustainable, and that's things you can look for either our organization or an organization like ours within your own community. We take donations from other designers, and we reuse and upcycle the things that we can. The things that we can't, we try to sell, and we use those proceeds to create a sustainable business model for our nonprofit to continue to build these well spaces. Within the well spaces, you see, they're calming, soothing spaces. We have 12 different regulation stations to teach kids how to self-soothe, self-regulate, regulate their central nervous system. That might be mindful movement or breath work, and so on and so forth. But all of these things, again, from looking at the luxury to the commercial to mid, and then if we're able to do it on a very, very, very lean budget with our nonprofit, then anybody can make small, minor changes to create healthy environments.
And the way you said, is a step. You have to start somewhere. Everyone has to bring something on the table.
Exactly.
I think we're to Valeria. Could you pass it back? Thank you.
Happily.
Very nice. This was our Valerio take slide. I know you jumped in on some of this, but the natural finishes, built-ins, is there a profile that you're serving as a top 10 builder where this would appeal?
Yeah, when you talk about buyer, if I have to go by the book, I will say Gen Z, because, they were born under internet kingdom, so they can make research, they are very attentive to everything. In reality, I think is everyone that care for our planet, right? So I will not categorize in one generation, but especially also our community, they are not built around only one buyer profile.
Right.
Also because you don't want Melrose Place, right? Where they're all beautiful, all together, all the same age. I think the most successful community are the community where you have a completely different age, where you have a young family with kids and also old people, because they create some interaction between the young kids with the neighbor, with old people that they don't have any more kids because they did their family, but they interact together.
Yeah.
So I think it's a sense of community that can be translated on, and they are the common, if you want, goal to, let me say, like Miss Italia, Miss Universe, save the planet, right? So it's like everybody wants to save the planet. And I think is if you educated people and you don't target only one buyer profile, but you target a lifestyle, you can get much more.
Yeah. I think there's a question when we think about the marketing of this, where like a lot of times we have a lot of features or benefits that we're articulating, and do things get diluted, right? Like, or do we have a more universal appeal with the idea of healthy and natural than we do on Save the Planet sustainability? I would say we probably do.
Yeah. And
so like a lot of times we tie those things together because there is an integration, but are we diluting the message that way? And or are we giving some of our buyers something to react against when we have something that you said it's not just a trend, it's there. It's an embedded lifestyle, the whole healthy piece of it. So maybe being a little more focused around the healthy and natural versus the sustainability is going to make those features better sellers for us. And I think my question to you is like, is this is there a standard, at least in some of your communities, that you have a set of healthy or natural features that you would call out?
It is not focused on the specific, in the way that he said, because it takes time to educate people, and then many times you lose the message.
Yeah.
You are not able to translate the message correctly.
Yeah.
And so this is the risk, right? Yeah. But in the other side, I think is as a builder, what you can do, and without any major cost, is to create floor plan that help this integration from indoor, outdoor, and then like with the natural lights, right? It's something easy that doesn't cost more. Exactly. If you place the right window, the right size, in the right position, just the effect of the natural lights basically create already this sense of health.
Absolutely. Right? And in your point about the discussion around this, I think, I can say it all day long. When I talk to clients, if I talk about sustainability or insulation, their eyes glaze over. But if I say, do you want to have a healthy home? Their ears perk up and they want to talk about that.
Yeah, only the self-destructive don't want a healthy home.
Yeah.
There's plenty of those out there, though.
Yeah, but it's about how you deliver the message, right? You are going to say exactly the same, but you have to find the wording to appeal to the people that you have in front of you, just to catch attention.
Well, and for me, as a person that went through, a long health journey, getting sick and getting myself well again, that's where the message pivoted. And I realized, okay, wait, this is something that's really important and most people don't understand. We need to reframe how we're talking about this.
And that's something that's really important is if you have this argument with a client, when they leave the homes, they will remember these model homes because they talk about this, right? So when they go home, it's not just like, oh, it was a beautiful piece of furniture. I know you sell furniture, or a beautiful wall, right? But it's also, there is something behind that is a memory that you bring with you, and you will remember this home, and it's going to help you to sell homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, let's get Nick into the game. Be gentle with that clicker. Don't be patient with the clicker.
Be gentle and patient with me, John. Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here. First of all, Dina and Valerio, wealth of knowledge. That was fantastic. As John mentioned at the beginning here, I'm filling in for my counterpart, Allie Rickert. She graciously gave me a 12-hour heads up that she missed her flight, that I'll be sitting in here. But a little bit of background on myself. Again, my name is Nick Moore. I oversee our multi-family enterprise division with a focus on multifamily property management as well as development. But I work hand in hand with Allie Rickert, my counterpart who oversees home builders. And of course, when I had a chance to be able to be in front of a group like this and do some yapping, I definitely wanted to say yes for two reasons. First one is everyone here in the room is familiar with Wayfair, but not everyone, most of the time, is familiar with Wayfair Profressional. So that first reason is when I mentioned that we have a multi-billion-dollar commercial arm with access to thousands of different suppliers, commercial manufacturers, made-to-order items. The look on a lot of clients' faces is great for me to see. And then second one, when they realize, some of the biggest and best in the biz, like who's in this room right now, they're actually already working with us. They have making purchases for the homes that they're building, at the properties that they're working at. So again, thank you, John. I am glad that Allie gave me the 12-hour notice. She is speaking on a few other panels today. She will be here in an hour or so. But I will also say that's a tough act to follow. Dina, that was a ton of awesome information. What I'm going to be focusing on, of course, Wayfair selling furniture is the FF&E portion of the natural design aesthetic. I think there was a lot of Yep, FF&E, exactly.
What's the acronym stand for?
I don't know, John. Furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
Okay.
So that will be the focus here. However, Dina and Valerio again went over a lot of this information. I'm going to give the high level on kind of the breakdown, the FF&E side of the natural design aesthetic. Allie and I work directly with the director of our in-house design team, which I'll give some details on later here. But I virtually could not say this better myself. So feel free to read it. But I think Dina really hit it on the nose here. It's bringing in those, making a calming atmosphere, creating a calming presence in each room that you're outfitting with the FF&E, with the materials that you're building, bringing in just aspects of outdoor, really organic feel in each of those spaces. And from our perspective as a vendor who sells FF&E, it's how can we partner to do intentional sourcing of these type of items? Not only, if we're talking to a client directly who's interested in this, it's making it easy on our platform to find these type of items, making a conscious effort to even, partner with certain suppliers for more sustainable products and materials. And like I said, really making a conscious effort to move that forward.
I think it's interesting the way you guys frame this with it being, and Allie and I and Aaron had discussion, it's the aesthetic piece and the chemical composition of the materials, for lack of a better, both of those things together. In the aesthetic piece, like the way these things look gets to your eye. It feels right. It gets to it and if it does actually feel right physically, then we got the Quan here, right? With both the look and then understanding, an implicit understanding that this is healthy, and then it actually delivering on that side. So I like the way you guys frame that up.
You need both aspects.
Yeah.
Of course. So like I said, I'll go through this, but if I have any questions, Dina, I might leave. But of course, breaking down just kind of the different aspects of what goes into the natural design aesthetic from a FF&E standpoint. Of course, the materials, just for the items that you're picking out, a focus on wood, on stone, on clay, on certain fibers or fabrics. But with the usually the focus on simplicity and sustainability. Arguably, one of the most important aspects here is the color palette, not only of the FF&E, but just the colors of the walls they're going to paint. Natural tones. Again, the common theme here is bringing in outside factors, making it feel very organic. So also very, very important, of course. Next here is lighting, or right along the same lines. If you're trying to bring in, an outdoor type of feel, the more windows, the better. The bigger windows, the better. More natural light. At Valeria, you were saying like that's also something that could be a little bit more cost effective too, as well. So all things that we incorporate into our designs, or catering towards the natural design aesthetic, then that's also coupled with areas for ambient light. But the overarching feel here is softer kind of lighting tones. And naturally, style, of course. It's simple, it's minimalist, it's uncluttered, but still functional. Again, I keep referring back to you both because you put a lot of these things very, very eloquently. It's coming into the space feeling calm. There's not a lot of decor and not a lot of things that are, taking away from the natural curves or sizes or the forms of the actual FF&E that's in there. There you go. Okay. And then lastly, greenery. We talked about that plenty here, but being an FF&E provider, we have a lot of faux plants that we provide. But you can see the common theme here that we've been talking about. It's that organic feel. It's really being connected to nature. And then naturally, of course, if you have live plants in any area, it can affect positively the air quality too. Jumping right into the intentional sourcing portion. Of course, we're sourcing items that are sustainable, but as an FF&E provider, and like I said, I'll touch on our design services and how we partner on the B2B side with some of the largest clients in the industry. We're not in the business of doing a one-off project. No one here is. Everyone here wants a long-standing relationship with their clients, with their vendors, wherever the case is. So taking this aspect, and I also agree with Valerio, it's not exactly a trend, it's more of a lifestyle now, and pushing those things or partnering with our clients on the FF&E portion, that to us is just another way to create a long-standing relationship. It benefits your clients. Hopefully that benefits everyone from A to Z. I do want to take a pause here because I'm very excited to talk about some of the tech that we rolled out in regards to sustainability certifications that are now live on a lot of our products on our site. But what I said at the beginning here, a big part of intentional sourcing is making our platform easier to navigate. It's pushing services out or anything along those lines to our clients to make their lives easier, to make it better in each and every way. Our CEO, Neer Shah, is pretty, he says this often, we are a tech company, we're an innovation company, we just happen to sell furniture. So a lot of these things that we implement on the website is to exactly make our consumers' sourcing of FF&E a little bit easier. So I'm happy to roll this out or to give you some details on it. If anyone has been on the Wayfair website, we have a lot of items, 20,000 different suppliers, virtually millions of different items. We have to be very tech savvy on how our filtering works. And again, I'm happy to say that with a lot of these certifications here, these are now options that you can filter and search for. And it's not just, as simple as searching for every single item that has one of these certifications. It's narrowing it down to, I need a table at this size in this color that is available to be delivered in the next 4 weeks that also has one of these certifications. So that was a long road to get to this portion. Wayfair being a drop ship company where, we're consistently onboarding new suppliers. We're going to continue to add on not only the certifications, but more suppliers and brands that you'll have access to through the platform.
I think this was amazing in the way that, we do model homes, and so we source through vendors, right? And no one has this filter. So especially if you give importance of the green, the natural, healthy material, to have the opportunity to filter product on this way is a win-win, because usually we open 20 pages of 20 vendors and you filter when you say table or chairs or blue, red, this dimension, but no one has the filter. You can filter for Energy Star or Green Guard or everything. I never seen before. And when I saw it yesterday for the first time, when you sent me I was really pleased, because
that's the whole reason you're here, right? Because of that. Okay.
I think it's amazing. It helps a lot, because at the end, for us in the model homes, you want to give the sense of calm and using natural material. Plus, if you have also a story to tell, and you don't sell any more product, you sell a story, you sell a lifestyle, right? So you have to find something to make memorable for the people to come back and to buy your home. And this is another story that you can tell, like, can help us to sell more homes.
I agree.
I mean, that's a great convenience to be able to shop that way, but they've even, done some of the marketing work there in terms of the language.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All of that being perfected for consumer consumption on your site. It's nice to be able to just acquire that and use it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed. And again, I'll touch on it in a slide or so, but the website, just the nature of having that many items, it can get overwhelming. So, there's other services. You can talk to a human who can help you navigate these items too. So a plus on either side. A little bit more on the sustainability certifications. And then I have a few slides here showcasing exactly where you can see those on the physical item page. But to give a little bit more background of, how we went about partnering with different people here. We went directly to certain laboratories, some government entities, a lot of nonprofits to really make a conscientious decision on which of these certifications we're going to go for, and continue to build on them. I think it's worth noting as well, it starts with the furniture, but we're a full, A to Z white glove delivery partner. We're able to help with the design, but handle the logistics and even bring everything into the home. So, a big aspect in between there is the physical packaging of all of the items. So we have partners that work pretty diligently with a lot of our larger suppliers, but with our middle providers on how can we reduce the waste of the actual packaging? How can we replace styrofoam, as an example, for certain ticket items that we sell pretty often. So just a fun fact I want to add as well. But I to your point, Valerio, this is, in my mind, for Wayfair at least, we're at the beginning. It's not going to go backwards. We're just going to be continuing to add to the sustainability market as it pertains to FF&E.
Tina, does certifications like this, or any of the specific ones you see here, apply to materials that are just building materials like flooring, et cetera? So
of course, it's not as robust as it's become in the furniture side of things, but we're getting there, and making better efforts.
Yeah.
We use testing labs. There's also the Healthy Materials Lab in New York at Parsons Design School. There's the Good Future Design Alliance that we work with. So there's a number of groups that you can be involved with.
Yeah. I want to make this into a cheat sheet for our viewers on BI, and understand whether, where we could find the applicability on the built-in materials too. That'll be good.
Not a problem. You'll see at the bottom right-hand corner is the link to our landing page on Wayfair, just really providing all this information and a lot more, just everything, what we're doing, what our mission is, and where we're going in the future. Like I said, here's just a few examples. You'll be able to see this on the app, if you're on your laptop, but just to give an idea for you where you'll see these certifications on the item page. Again, just as a few examples for visual. This is a portion I certainly wanted to touch on in regards to the B2B side, the Wayfair Professional, and these additional services that clients, businesses like yourself would have access to. We do have an in-house design team that are all trained to have these certain certifications. As John mentioned, he worked with one of our lead designers on putting this presentation together. But those are people that you have access to, companies that we work with. A couple just bullet points there. They work via e-design. So probably a lot different than Dina. We don't have members of the team that come on site often. Why that's a benefit to some larger clients who are able to provide the same service in California as we would in Boston. You're working with the same team, especially in the home builder industry, where we're able to build out packages for you using these certain items for a model home, even for just certain rooms within a model. So I certainly want to highlight that, but very similar to how you would work with a designer. They're putting together a full design proposal for you, space planning it, and that's just the beginning portion. As I mentioned before, we have the full logistics, setup, and assembly portion, which I'll dive into here. And I think another point that Valerio made in regards to some cost savings, that service is complimentary. But what I want to additionally highlight there, because it's complimentary, we're pretty flexible. So it's not, you just come to us and we'll do the whole design. We want to partner on every level that we can. If you have an in-house design team or working with an external designer, we want to operate as procurement and logistics. You want to use Wayfair, but you have a designer that you trust, you worked with forever, send them Wayfair's way, and they'll be able to help search for these certain type of items, sustainable items to make the natural design aesthetic, and we'll operate that way and handle the logistics. So I want to highlight that too. Ali wanted to share, these are projects that we've done probably in the last 6 months across different areas across the country. But highlighted here, these are photographs of the install that actually happened. So again, full service where we're able to procure these items. You're working with a designer, you have a project manager, but it's not the most important part. It's when it actually gets delivered and everything in between that we were talking about. Like, how can we reduce the waste along the way too? Some of the ways we do that on the logistics side, Wayfair has a national logistics network. We have major warehousing in every part of the country. So we have abilities to, when we have the items delivered to those warehouses, consolidated, check for damage, anything like that, we can unbox everything and start assembling it prior to the delivery. So, even from that step, we want to help every aspect along the way. And then our team will set up, coordinate with the on-site team, set up and assemble everything. If we have a hand in the design, we'll have the install team will have plans in front of them, know exactly where to set up all the items. So full turnkey. And then, of course, any waste that is there, our team will remove it too. Now, lastly here, again, along the lines of the first thing I said, that people get, I see some surprised looks when I say that we have a commercial arm. We also have several subsidiaries under the Wayfair umbrella. These websites that you might be familiar with, All Modern, Joss & Main, Birch Lane, and Perigold. The two I want to highlight here, as we're talking about the natural design aesthetic, is All Modern and Birch Lane. This is where our designers will mainly focus. Those are curated brands for exactly that overarching look that we're looking to design. Highlight on Joss & Main, this is a kind of mix of, but ever-changing, of what's on trend. And I could talk all day there. And then the fourth one I want to highlight too is Perigold. This is our luxury brand. It's a kind of our answer to restoration hardware. So for, any luxury home that we're working on, that'll be somewhere that we'll start to look at and source which suppliers we want to work with. But the highlight here is Wayfair has access to all of these items. But if you're looking for a more curated look along the same lines of our filtering, we have those capabilities on these 4 websites too.
Valerio, there's only 7 different questions. Pick one.
Yeah, but generally speaking, is obviously tools like this is going to make the designer life much easier, right? Because you have one platform where you can get everything. And what is more difficult in our business, on the model home business, is the logistic part. For you, having a warehouse everywhere, especially working in different markets, is helping tremendously. Because from Atlanta to go to Phoenix, if I have my warehouse in Atlanta, they have to drive 20 hours to go to Phoenix, or I have to find another warehouse, local warehouse in Phoenix, maybe for only 5 projects a year, that obviously I don't have the same power that you are going to get it, right? So I think is this platform, obviously I have to dig more, like everyone has to dig more to understand the potentiality and everything, but on paper is amazing tools that can really help, especially the small designer, because they don't have the power to go to the vendors and to buy at a good price. And so for you can be a great asset. And on top, you can give all this certification that is not easy to research or to find, or is the time consuming. You said 4 years to find the right materials, right? For you, it was like a mission in the way that was something that touched yourself. And so for you, it was like natural to do it because you really believe it. You know, other people, they have day by day work, and maybe they don't have time, but you're giving the tools to do it. And then again is this natural elements in the natural trend or lifestyle. Obviously, you have a 2,000 vendor, 2 million of SKUs that you can really shop and you can find everything you need to create this comfort zone, this atmosphere that related to your soul or to your lifestyle.
Agreed. And to your point, our core commercial side business is from interior designers. They're coming to Wayfair in droves for some of these services, the natural just breadth of selection, but it's taking those headaches off of them to be able to facilitate the logistics or that additional level. If I need this exact item and I need it to have this certification, can you help me, Wayfair? We're working towards to make that seamless as we can.
Cool. Hey, I want to touch on some of the highlights thank you so much for that presentation. I just want to touch on a few of the highlights that I came away with. One is the aesthetics and the material science kind of go together, and that's how we can create great appeal and interest in it. I think we talked about whether we want to have a little more emphasis or purer focus on the natural and health aspects and make the sustainability piece more of a sidebar, not because we don't care about sustainability, but because it's more personal and more of an emotional connection for the actual buyer when you're talking about their health and wellness and the features that contribute to that. I think these different certification labels and all of that consumer marketing that's been done and the ability to apply that, and then to also, I think, practical ways to implement is part of what we discussed here. Maybe we just scratched the surface on that, but there's an assumption that these are impractical, too expensive sort of feature sets that is probably off, and that we should give more consideration to these sorts of options because there are emerging more and more practical and price-sensitive ways to do this. Those are some of the highlights I came away with. I don't know if anyone wants to add one or two. What did you discover? You were like our featured presenter on this, but you got some different perspectives here around you on the table.
I agree with you, and I think that calling attention to these things would be really important. You know, even little things like there's nothing sexy again about insulation, right? But how cool would it be to have a QR code, you know, that just explains what this is and why this is important, you know, for each one of these materials, whether it's building materials or the furnishings and the FF&E.
Yeah.
You know, I think things like that could go a long way in educating the general public about
Yeah. It's kind of hidden benefits, right? And we've got a whole session dedicated to this in the structures and systems track, which is because that's all about the stuff that's in between the walls and in the basement, right? So a lot of times the investments that are made in innovative features there don't really get sold through to the client. We have some same struggles here in terms of the health and wellness side of things. It's not see it, touch it, buy it. It requires some explaining, and it's a good point.
And then also, when yesterday we were talking about the design studio, the design center, if we give this information accessible through the website, the people, they already come with the knowledge. They already come knowing, you don't have to spend hours on the model homes to explain everything. They're coming maybe asking, oh, are you using this product here? They have already the knowledge. And this is going to be like cut, time on.
You could certainly structure some of these natural and health and wellness filtering in a digital design center.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. It's an interesting idea to think about applying it there. Okay. Thanks so much to all of our presenters. Thanks to Hayark, who couldn't unfortunately be here. Everybody's email address is up there. Wealth of knowledge up here. Thank you.